Hi all, this is Victor with Programmatic Academy. Continuing with the mindset course, we're now going to go over performance brands or brands that are focused on performance, okay? And those that are reluctant to do programmatic. Again, there's a lack of knowledge about programmatic. If we look at this eMarketer chart here, 52% of brands consider programmatic a major benefit, 44 a minor benefit. So obviously a lot of brands consider it a good thing to invest in programmatic. All right, many still believe that programmatic is just a way to buy cheap traffic, and that includes, fraudulent traffic. Like a lot of the mainstream media, the only thing brands hear about programmatic are horror stories. So if you're in an agency, it's time to educate them. If you are the brand and maybe you are the marketing manager and need to educate your director or the VP, this is something that takes a little bit of work, but I think can pay off. Programmatic absolutely has its place in a performance campaign, okay? And usually the biggest, I want to say, competitor for your budget dollars when you're considering a performance campaign is search. Search obviously returns a very good, investment or return on investment. So that's who you're probably fighting for dollars when it comes down to it. All right, so what can we do to change their minds? Let's remind them that search is only one channel, okay? And again, I mentioned search because it's usually the one that a lot of performance marketers have preference for, and rightly so. It does very well, okay? But if you can get the brand to do a test, you can run a head-to-head with other DSPs or other agencies to prove your worth and to prove that programmatic can bring an ROI, okay? Also, you can look out for case studies. This always helps, especially if they're those of your competitors. Again, the fraud in programmatic. This is something we hear about a lot. We can mention if they're running TV ads, you can't really account for every impression on TV, okay? No publisher is immune from fraud. A lot of it is in the user's browsers through, add-ons, toolbars, things like that. Essentially, and then not to get too technical, but a lot of the fraud is hidden on sites with the hidden ads where they're launching 5 or 6 banners in the space of a small pixel. Okay, it can get complicated, but we need to focus on saying, look, there is fraud. It's always going to be there. The point is you need to develop a good KPI, okay, to know when you're getting a return on investment and when you're not. All right. So for example, if your ROI goal is 3 to 1 and you're getting that, then even if there is fraud in that campaign, it kind of becomes, I don't want to say irrelevant, and I wrote it here, but it's difficult to argue against. Okay. For example, search, I would say, is also subject to fraud. If you don't know, Bing offers rewards for searching, and then people create bots to do this. This means that your keywords could potentially be clicked on by bots if you're running Bing. And this is, a pretty respectable search engine. So if that happens there, it could happen in other places. Now, here are some of the metrics that performance campaigns use: ROI, CPA, CPD. So if and most of these, my point here is that they can be improved. I think they are good metrics, but even then it can be improved, okay? So we can dig down further and say ROI based on which products, we need to look and see which one gives your best return. Are you measuring attribution for the CPA? Is the entire funnel being measured? What action is leading to the ROI or the cost per download? Again, measure at every step. because a lot of times what will happen is you run a programmatic campaign and you're not really tracking every step, and then it comes the end of the campaign and you're left with either bad or mediocre results, and therefore programmatic goes out the window. All right. So performance campaigns should look at this as well, because what a lot of brands like to do is compare ROI by channel. So they'll say, well, I'm getting a 5-to-1 on search, and I'm only getting, this is what I need to get in programmatic in order for it to be considered a success. And that simply isn't going to happen. I mean, it could, and we always work towards getting it to that point. But the truth is that search performs different than programmatic, than social, than email. Okay? So you have to measure for each one and see at the point of optimization for each one where the ROI falls into, and then have that as your benchmark. Because otherwise, it's a losing battle trying to get all channels to convert at the same ratio. Okay? I would say this is probably one of the biggest issues facing agencies, is getting clients to understand this point right here. All right, and again, the best metrics are custom. You know your brand, you know your agency, you know what you can do. Talk to your client, work towards those custom metrics, do them by channel, and this will help move the conversation along. Alrighty, here is the quiz for this section. If you have any questions, please leave them below and I will answer them. And thank you.